Hey, what's up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today I want to show you this crazy build that 33, the offlaner for Tundra, has been going on Darkseer. And you might be like, Darkseer? Yes, Darkseer. He currently, over the last 28 games, has an 80% win rate. That is insane, guys. He's ranked 27 on EU, which I think is like 10k, and he has an 80% win rate. That is unbelievable, right? That is an unbelievable win rate. You will not see something like this. Like, you might see something like this like once a month, okay? And he's buying Orchid and Vanguard most games. Look, okay, not this game. Unfortunately, the most recent game he didn't. But hey, he lost. Exactly, he lost. Game after that, which is the game we're gonna be looking at, Vanguard Orchid, right? He didn't go at this game, Orchid, Vanguard Orchid, Vanguard Orchid, Vanguard Orchid. Didn't go at this game, Vanguard Orchid. That's kind of flowy, Vanguard Orchid. All right, you get the point. We're gonna watch. We're gonna see how he does it, and let's get into it. By the way, guys, if you want to become absolutely broken, well, what you need to do is sign up to the GameLeap website down below right now. The reason why you should do that is because every single day we post a new video there. Content that you simply just will never get on YouTube. We post every single day to the website. It's really top tier stuff. I'm very proud of what I make over there. We also have other creators, many of my great friends who are top tier Dota players, creating guides about different heroes, different roles, different items, skill builds, talent builds, everything you need to know to get to the next rank. So if you feel a little bit lost, you're a little bit stuck, click the link down below. I'll see you guys there. And now let's get into the video. Okay guys, so the biggest thing that I want to cover for this replay outside of the item build is actually the laning stage. And that might sound weird, but Darkseer has one of the weirdest laning stages in Dota. His mana pool is like ridiculously finicky. This hero has 363 mana, and his level 1 spell is a 9-second cooldown, 110 mana spell. That is obviously not sustainable. You could run out of mana in less than like a half a minute. All right, so for the first wave, because this is really important, guys, if you want to be good at this hero and get anywhere close to an 80% win rate, you have to really master everything I'm about to say. So first wave, he doesn't shell the wave. Now, the thing is, there's a lot of variations of lanes, some in which you would want to shell the first wave if the lane is particularly difficult. However, he's against the lifestealer, so the lane is not going to be that bad. Weaver is a little bit rough, but even at level 1, Weaver isn't going to destroy you. So instead, you can see he actually does something very interesting. Instead of actually hardcore playing the lane and pushing it in, which is what almost every other Darkseer would do, he actually immediately pulls creep aggro onto the range creep. After that, he proceeds to follow up and secure the range creep. I highly recommend you ask your position forward to help you do that if possible. Otherwise, you're going to take a lot of damage. It's not so good. And then, preceding that, they're going to draw the wave back. And you can replicate this every single game. And the benefit of all of this is basically it lets you play Darkseer without casting Ion Shell. And that is huge, because then you can actually cast Ion Shell when the lane gets harder. The lane isn't too bad for Darkseer at level 1. The lane isn't too bad for almost anyone at level 1. It's when heroes really start to hit level 2 and level 3 when things can be a little bit weird, and you really need to have mana to fight back with Ion Shells. To be fair, he actually uses 2 of them on the second wave here, and they really start to put the pressure with the clockwork. And the main reason why this works and why these shells are more effective than the first wave is because the wave is further away from the tower. It also is just a good way to get CS. I honestly don't think he even had to shell that wave though. I actually do believe he could have held the shells and just waited until, you know, even this wave where it's under tower. Once you hit level 3, this is where you can generally start to just push out every wave. Ion Shell goes from 30 damage to 50, which is almost a double, and it basically just gets to the point where it shoves the wave out fast enough where the enemy can't contest. Obviously, you need to be careful. If the enemy lane is something like, you know, a Monkey King, then I would be very, very careful about how you approach the wave. Often, what you'll see in harder matchups is that the position 4 will play with the Darkseer a lot more, and they'll double shell the wave down as much as they can. This basically makes it impossible, even for a hero like Monkey King. If you run into 2 Ion Shells in the early game, plus a vacuum, you're dead. So yeah, you don't have to be too afraid if you have 2 Ion Shells going. One hilarious play that he made in this lane was that the Weaver was chasing him. He's getting like completely bullied out of lane, can't lane, he's low on resources. And he just cliffs him. The crazy part about that was the radius on the cliff, I'm gonna go back and show you guys, is really big. Like the Weaver wasn't even that close to the cliff. Like if I'm Weaver, I'm thinking I'm safe. Like the Weaver, he wasn't even like standing here. He's like as far away as you could get. But you can see if you put your cursor here and you click like the bottom side of the hill, it cliffs. And that's like mega value. I mean, I'm pretty sure this guy has no TP. And even if he does have TP, well, you're forcing a TP. That's 100 gold, and then if you kill them, they have no TP. Keep in mind that he also rushed a Ring of Health. This is what keeps him alive in this scenario. In Darkseer, you kind of just need a ton of regen. You need as much regen, essentially, as humanly possible. Mana and HP, as this hero just takes a lot of damage and uses a lot of mana. Funny enough, the Spiritbreaker chases him down and they even turn it around. Now you might be wondering to yourself, why 2 Sage's Masks? Well, this is going to build into the Orchid later on, so it's really super nice. You just have these 2 Sage's Masks that build into the exact item that you want, right? And the greatest thing about Orchid is going to let you get solo kills and just participate in team fights in a way that Darkseer never could before. And it's your mana sustain item, so really it's perfect. Now, at around the 6-minute mark, this is when you want to get your Vanguard every game. However, you guys are going to probably get it a little bit later, only because his last hits are extremely good. Keep in mind, he put no pressure on Lifestealer in this lane, and for the most part, he's playing defensive and playing around CS. He has 45 at minute 6. This is stupid high, and a lot of it, I didn't want to show you every little thing because it would be overwhelming. If you want to take a look at the match ID and watch it for yourself, it's right here. You could type it in. But please understand that the main goal of this hero early on is last hits. You are a scaling hero. You want to scale, and you want to make sure you have as much farm as humanly possible to hit later timings. What people get wrong about Darkseer is they try to like dominate the lane. It doesn't work. You're gonna run out of mana. You don't have good sustain. Even with Ring of Health, often you just kind of get clicked down because you're this slow melee hero that always has to be melee range. Following that up, you can even see here once he has maxed out Shell and Vanguard, you take no damage from neutral creeps. As a result, you can farm every single camp in the area. And now I would generally recommend just farming the lane and then farming the nearby camps. If the lane is really bad, you can full-time jungle when you have a Vanguard. However, I recommend you do what he did, which is jungle this camp, jungle this camp, jungle this camp, because then if the safe laner gives up a little bit of pressure, you can go and cut the wave, and that should be your goal. Cut wave, then after that, farm small camp, large camp, large camp. If you don't have enough time to farm all 3 camps, which often you won't, then you go back to the lane and you cut it again, and this is how you're going to get the most farm with a Vanguard, and generally if you get ganked, you just surge away and you're fine. And yeah, it's going to be about a rinse repeat. The only fight he's shown up to is an 8-minute rune fight, which honestly, I don't even feel like, I mean, to be fair, he actually farmed, that's actually super advanced. Is that what he did? Now I'm thinking of it, is that what he did? Is that what that was? Is that this advanced? Because he had no I remember I was watching the replay before. I watched a replay before I make the video, you know. I'm watching, I'm like, he's shifting here. He has no mana. I'm like, surely he's not here to fight, right? Because he has no mana. But like at the highest level, you'll constantly see fights around the power runes. You kind of just expect people to skirmish around the power runes. And that, like, it didn't seem like he was hardcore prioritizing it because he didn't walk straight for the rune, right? He kind of like walked up, but then he saw the arcane rune. And so he shifts over and kills the Lina, which was like really high value, right? Really, really high value. It's just a super nice kill, get the Lina, and then go back to farming, right? Always go back to farming. Don't keep chasing, don't keep fighting. Most players would have ran mid there and tried to kill the Spiritbreaker and the Weaver, which is just stupid. You're just going to become underfarmed, but yeah, either way, just something to think about. Cool little play there. Another cool little play that I don't think I would have made previous to watching this replay is he sees this Lifestealer, and most carry copies are really strong. Lifestealer's copy, his illusion, is actually quite good because it has high movement speed. I also think it applies, I believe it applies Ghoul Frenzy. Pretty certain it does. It's funny, later on we'll see he makes a copy of Lycan and it gives him like a bonus 70 damage. It's hilarious because you get the Vlads and the Feral Impulse on Darkseer. It's really cool. And so he just kicks this guy to lane. You can do this because the nice thing about making a copy of a carry is it gives you a unit that you can control with Ion Shell. So like in the past, people would buy Helm Dom on Darkseer and it just lets you have, you know, yourself and another unit with Ion Shell, and then you just overpower people with 2 Ion Shells. And that's exactly what he does here. He kicks the Lifestealer completely out of lane and continues to farm. And as you can see, this is like, what, an 11-minute Orchid? He doesn't have boots, by the way. He did buy raindrops, so keep that in mind. It's like a 11-minute Orchid. I mean, stupid farm. Like, look at his net worth. He's top net worth. I mean, he is stupid farm. It's freaking ridiculous. All right, so in minute 12, the game's a little bit weird. The play he has to make is a bit confusing. He TP's mid, and when you have Orchid, generally you want to look to make a play, right? It's in your best interest when you have maxed out Shell, maxed out Surge, and an Orchid to try to make a move. So I think eventually they end up smoking here. Yeah, and you should try to do about the same. When you have the Orchid, look to smoke up with your playmakers. This game, his playmakers are very clearly the Clock, and the Storm, and so that's exactly who he goes with. They're going to run up the hill and look to take a fight. Make sure you prep the shells, right? So he already had Storm shelled. I think Clock was shelled as well. Generally, you can have, if we look at the duration is 25 seconds, the cooldown is 9 seconds. So there's a small period in time in which you can have 3 shells going if you really spam it. So you should aim for that when you're going for a gank. Just like shell, shell, shell. There should be 0 downtime between shells. Otherwise, you're griefing pretty hard. But fight breaks out, you're going to run in. Like, usually with this Vanguard build, I mean, you just kind of run in because you're super tanky. So you shell yourself, run in, and then don't focus too much. Like, most of your damage at this point of the game is just shell. Like, don't worry too much about hitting some God Vacuum and God Replica. If it's there, you can hit it. Like, I think he's going to turn here in a second. And eventually vac. Okay, no, he vac to cancel the charge. Like, you can see, there's not too much priority on it. If you can vac heroes together, great. But most of the time, most AoE spells are not ready yet. The damage isn't there yet. So it's just good for Ion Shell damage. And that's how you should look at it. And yeah, the Orc is just crazy good because, like, heroes like Weaver, Darkseer doesn't threaten at all. Like, now he just kills him. And Storm wasn't going Orc this game. Storm, in my opinion, makes a smart decision to go Kaya, which I think he should this game, even though it's a fantastic Orchid game for Storm, because you can solo kill Lifestealer, Weaver, and Lina. Well, Lifestealer is a bit tough, but Lina and Weaver, even Spirit Breaker, pretty bulldoze. And when you go Kaya, it optimizes your ability to use Ion Shell, right? Because you can stay in the fight for a lot longer, so yeah, I love his build this game on the Storm. And even in this engagement, you're going to see the power of just kind of having a Vanguard early game. To be fair, it's also like the best Vanguard game of all time. It's really good against Weaver, Spirit Breaker. It's fantastic against Lycan. It's good against Lifestealer. It's good against Lina. Like, it's so much like high attack speed heroes, or just like consistent right-click damage heroes. Like, this is the greatest Vanguard game of all time, not going to lie. So it really, really works out in this game. You can see he gets Dove, just lives. Like, there's no way you live here if you have, like, the standard build. Even if you have, like, Mech, you're dead. If you're rushing Ags, you're dead, you know, so pretty crazy. And after that, you're going to see another team fight here. He makes the copy of the Lycan. Really, it's insane how much value you get out of this, because you get a Vladzora for your entire team. So you just copy Vlads, right? So it was really weird to me that he did this at first. I was like, why in the world did he just make a Lycan copy? Like, there's no way Lycan copy's that good. I mean, partially you could argue for it's for the slow, which actually did come into play there. It let him get off the vacuum in time. So if that's the reason, I don't know, this guy's just too good. Like, that's just some crazy knowledge, crazy intuition. But either way, just dominating the fight. And I thought it was hilarious. He's hitting for 200 with Orchid attack speed, by the way. So he's hitting pretty quickly. It was just insane. He's just hitting like literally for 230. Every click, he's just owning. He hit the Spirit Breaker for 129 there. His auto did 129. Like, my God. Now keep in mind, in between fights, you're one of the best farmers in the game. Feel free to continuously shove in waves, kill nearby camps, just in general. Be pretty freaking greedy. Oh my God, he solo kills the Weaver. Crazy. Look at that. But yeah, you just farm. And when you get your Ags, you are a menace. Keep in mind, you really want to go Ags in games where you have a lot of shell targets. Honestly, this, even if you just have like 4 ranged heroes on your team, which can happen, you can still go Ags. And the reason why is it gives HP to these squishy ranged heroes. But most importantly, what Ags does on Darkseer, what makes it a really good, just item, is it gives you 2 charges, and the charges last for, I think, 20 seconds longer. Yeah, which is insane. It's 2 charges, and they last for 20 seconds longer, which means you can have, I think you can have 5 shells going. You can have 5 shells going on your, so you can have a shell in your entire team. You're giving your team a bonus like 1200 HP, whatever the number is, 1300 HP. And on top of that, this is the main benefit, double shelling waves. You just double shell a wave. You're just on your side of the map, double shell the wave. Look at what this is going to do. If it's not cleared, boom, instant deleted. If it doesn't get cleared, these creeps are mega tanky, right? So the creeps get the bonus HP, so they don't die, right? So even the tower has a hard time taking them down, and they will often clear 2-3 creep waves. They just barrel down the lane. So you easily become one of the most farm heroes in the game, and it's great for team fighting. So Ags is honestly just a beast item on this hero. The only thing is you need mana regen to suffice for it, to basically sustain it, and the Orchid really makes up for that. You are gonna have to spam clarities though when you have Ags. Please keep this in mind. Orchid will not give you enough. You definitely need clarities when you have Ags. Otherwise, you'll run out of mana constantly. In terms of talents, just keep in mind you skip this level 10 talent. So he did not put a priority on getting it. I think he took it after he maxed out Surge, so like level 11. And then at level 15, he takes Vacuum AoE. This one was kind of weird to me because he has a Clock, Void Storm, really good Ion Shell carriers. and yet he doesn't take Ion Shell Radius. I guess he probably feels like these heroes are going to be melee range, so you don't really need the Radius. And the Vacuum AoE is honestly extremely good. I love taking Vacuum AoE. It just feels so nice, because the thing about Radius or AoE, which is, you know, essentially the same thing, is that it just makes it massive. Like, it just really makes you always get that extra hero in, that one-man vacuum goes to a two-man vacuum, two-man goes to a three-man, etc., etc. But yeah, as you're going to see in this team fight here, just everyone is shelled. The Clock is shelled, he's shelled, Void is shelled, the fight breaks out, Weaver walks in. Usually Weaver would just be completely fine here to set up and bait, just dies from full. The Clock lives because he's shelled, right? So he just has bonus HP. And now, yeah, Lifestealer dies. He does 0 damage to Darkseer because, well, not 0, but very little damage to Darkseer because of the Vanguard. And they just chunk through the fight. Everyone on his team is just dealing, what, 100 damage per second, 90 damage per second. They're extra tanky. And the fight is a very convincing win. And keep in mind, you might be like, Speed, his team was stomping. His team was 1k behind, guys, early game. His team was 1k behind. This is him hard carrying. Like, his decisions, I mean, his team is doing fine, too. His Storm made a couple good plays as well. But, like, obviously it's a team game, but he is owning this game. He is putting this game really on his back, which you kind of have to do when you're ranked 27 in EU. This was the craziest play of the game. I didn't even know this was a thing, dude. Like, only 33 makes these plays. This guy, he's something else. What is this? This is a cliff spot? Like, what? That's a thing? How is that a thing? Like, are you kidding me? That is ridiculous. Like, oh my god. It's funny, they almost died trying to kill the Lina on the hill. But either way, what? Like, that is just something else. I had no clue that was a cliff spot. Apparently, if the enemy team tries to contest you roshing, you can literally hit a 5-man cliff here, which, like, can happen because it's super common for people to group up here. So just, you can solo carry the game. It's just insane. All right, and the game progresses after you get your first 3 items. What you want to go is your Shard and a Blink. Just gives you a way to blink stun into Orchid, just in general if your team lacks initiation, which is pretty common. I mean, it's not the case this game. They have a Void, Storm, and Clock. But often your team, when you pick Darkseer, will lack a stun. And so going Blink, Shard later on is the stun. If you don't know what it does, it just, on a 14-second cooldown, when you auto-attack someone, depending on how much you've ran around, it can stun for up to 2.25 seconds, which is a long freaking stun. That is a long stun. 2.25 is long. So yeah, you just blink and you punch people towards your team for 2.25 seconds. It creates a copy of them. It's really, really good. And so yeah, it just gives you that disable that Darkseer often lacks. And alright, that's going to be the end of today's video. This game goes from his team just losing to a complete freaking stomp. Do keep in mind, I recommend picking this hero with heroes that you can work with, but you don't need it. That might sound crazy, like, oh, when I play Darkseer, I have to have Storm, a Faceless Void, these like sustainable heroes that can really optimize Shell. Is it good? Of course. I would always recommend trying to pick Darkseer with Ember, Tiny, Storm, Void, Spectre, you know, like these sustainable heroes that just get on top of people. Yes, that's best with Shell, but you can play Darkseer with Drow and Odie, and it's fine. You know, you can still buff them up. You can still, like, not own your lane. You're very rarely going to own your lane, so you really shouldn't try to. But you're going to get huge. You're going to get your Axe timing. You're going to shove in all the waves, and you're still going to hit a 4-man vacuum and Orchid the enemy Storm, and then, you know, Orchid the enemy Puck, kill that guy off, and yeah, it's just crazy. He even bought Treads. I think he bought those at the end of the game. He did. Don't prioritize Treads. But all right, thank you guys for watching. This was just a nutty game. Shout out to my friend Albino Zebra for showing me that he was doing this. So thank you to Albino for giving me this idea. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the GameLeap website where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.